whistling through the broken windows of his ancient, spacious house every night. Each night, he stayed awake to a whisper that seemed to emanate from the walls, a whisper only he could hear, growing louder with each passing night. One night, Hamid decided to uncover the secret behind these sounds. He remembered his uncle, skilled in the arcane arts, speaking of spirits dwelling in old houses. Hamid sought his uncle's counsel and shared his nocturnal experiences. His uncle, with a grave and worried look, said to Hamid, "This house has witnessed events years ago that do not let the spirits rest. You must be cautious." He handed Hamid an amulet and instructed him to recite its incantation every night before sleep. With the amulet in hand, Hamid returned home. He recited the incantation and waited. At midnight, the sounds began again, but this time Hamid felt they were closer and clearer. He searched the house for the source of the noise until he came upon a room he had never entered before. In the room, Hamid found an old journal filled with strange and indecipherable writings. As Hamid opened the ancient journal, the whispers suddenly ceased, and a heavy silence fell. With trepidation, he read the writings, but the more he read, the less he understood. The script was in an incomprehensible language, with bizarre words that seemed to come from another world. Hamid, journal in hand, returned to his uncle and said, "Uncle, whatever I do, I cannot solve my problem. What is this journal, and what do these writings mean?" His uncle, peering deeply into the journal, replied, "This journal belonged to a sorcerer who lived in this house many years ago. He had connections with forces beyond this world, and it seems his spirit still resides in this house. I will send you to a skilled wizard who might be able to help you." With a mix of dread and hope, Hamid went to see the wizard his uncle had mentioned. The wizard, a man with a mysterious face and piercing eyes, said to Hamid, "I can help you, but you must be prepared to accept the truth." The wizard led Hamid into a room filled with strange symbols and ancient books. He began chanting incantations, and suddenly the room trembled, and a powerful voice echoed through the space. Hamid felt something invisible enveloping him. The wizard looked at him and said, "The spirit that torments you wishes to speak with you. Are you ready?" Hamid, with fear flickering in his eyes, nodded. At that moment, a clear and strong voice whispered into Hamid's ear. He looked around, and suddenly, in front of him, the spirit of the deceased sorcerer appeared in the form of a terrifying creature. Its visage, with each glance, sent shivers down Hamid's spine. Red eyes and a mouth that seemed never to close glowed in the darkness of the room. Overwhelmed by fear, Hamid could not scream, and at that instant, he fainted to the ground. When he regained consciousness, he saw the wizard beside him, looking at him with eyes full of knowledge. The wizard spoke softly. "This spirit is the one that steals your sleep at night. It wants to speak with you, and you must listen to resolve your problem." With doubt and fear in his heart, Hamid looked at the spirit and asked, "What do you want from me? Why won't you leave me alone?" The spirit, with a voice that seemed to come from the depths of its being, answered, "I am seeking peace. The house you live in was once my dwelling, and I cannot let go of it until—" At that moment, another voice echoed in the room. Hamid looked around fearfully and saw shadows moving in the corners of the room. The shadows took on bizarre shapes and seemed to have a life of their own. He felt that not only the sorcerer's spirit, but also other spirits were present in the room. The wizard told Hamid, "These are the spirits summoned here by the dead sorcerer. They cannot find peace until they complete their unfinished business." Still trembling with fear, Hamid asked, "What is their unfinished business? can I help them?" The wizard, with a mysterious look, replied, "They want you to uncover a secret hidden in this house, a secret that can set them free." Driven by curiosity and the fear in his heart, Hamid decided to search for the secret. He began to explore rooms in the house he had never entered before. With each step, the whispering sounds grew louder and the shadows drew closer. Suddenly, in a dark and cold room, Hamid stumbled upon an old chest locked with rusty chains. With trembling hands, he unlocked the chains and opened the chest. Inside the chest was an old leather-bound book that appeared untouched for years. Hamid cautiously picked up the book and flipped through its pages. Each page told a story from ancient times and forgotten secrets. The writing spoke of ancient powers and spells that could free spirits. With each word he read, Hamid felt the room fill with energy, and the shadows slowly took the form of people who once lived in the house. He quickly searched for a spell that could release the spirits, and finally found one that seemed to be made for this purpose. Hamid read the spell aloud, and suddenly, a brilliant light engulfed the room. The whispering turned into cries that, with each shout, made one of the shadows disappear. When the last incantation was read, a profound silence settled over the room. Hamid looked around and saw that no shadows remained. He felt a lightness and peace he had never experienced before. The wizard, still standing beside him, smiled and said, "You have done a great deed, Hamid. The spirits are freed, and you can return to your normal life." Grateful to the wizard, Hamid returned to his home. That night, for the first time in a long while, he fell asleep peacefully, without hearing any sounds or seeing any shadows. And from that night on, he had calm and carefree dreams, never again to be disturbed by the spirits of the past.